How do we teach, for instance, new believers how to do basic discipleship, the spiritual disciplines, without it coming across like a checklist kind of Christianity?
After you. I'm in danger of giving you a checklist if I tell you what needs to be done. I think that a lot of those things are actually best learned by imitation. You can teach them in a big group, do the following 13 things, and they might all be wise things to do. But it's much more effective if you get some young guy that's just converted, and an older man comes along and says, look, I want you to be in my Bible study for the next 6 months. I want to show you what it looks like to be a Christian man. Watch me. And we're nervous about that sort of watch me language, but that's Pauline language. Be an imitator of me, even as I also am of Christ. So we're getting all kinds of people converted nowadays who have never seen family devotions. They don't know the Bible has 2 testaments. They're bone ignorant. They've never seen a Christian family. And they're quite prepared to sort of replicate their wretched homes in a new generation coming along without any thought. And somewhere along the line, part of teaching what being a Christian man is, a father and a husband in a home, is going to be picked up by having non-Christian men or newly converted Christian men coming into the home and having meals there and forming friendships and being in a Bible study and families doing things together. One of the reasons why hospitality is so much emphasized in the New Testament is not just so that you can sit around and eat hot dogs or whatever, but so that the Christian ethos of priorities and discussion and family devotions and all gets passed on, you know. I was brought up in a family that had family devotions, so we had family devotions in our with our kids as well, with our family as well. But how would I have thought about that? How would I have done that if somebody hadn't modeled it for me? So I could have had somebody at the front telling me what to do, but it wouldn't be nearly as impressive as being in a family where it's done and watching it and so on. You know, that's really impressive. And so within that framework, I think that there are a lot of things along the line of the so-called spiritual disciplines, Bible reading and prayer. You can lead people through a simple set of exercises on prayer. Or I've led people through, the book that became called A Spiritual Reformation, Priorities from Paul and His Prayers, teaching people to prayer using the prayers of the Bible. That can become a Bible study that leads into prayer time for 3 months, 6 months. And it can revolutionize a church's prayer life by using Pauline prayers as I've sketched out a manuscript on praying with Moses and praying with David as well. I just never got it all written up. But there are a lot of things to be learned from the prayers of Scripture that can be taught not only cerebrally, but then worked into the prayers in the church and the prayers in homes, and prayers in families, so that people learn how to pray. And prayer can be taught. The disciples turn to Jesus and say, Lord, teach us to pray. It's not something that just comes as sort of a dose of spirit power from heaven. It's something that is taught. And some of that is communicative, it's cerebral, it's propositional, but some of it is imitated. It's modeled and then is passed on within that framework.
I don't know of anything more effective than what he's describing as one-on-one discipleship. And one of the challenges of pastoral ministry is to get away from the professionalism when it's the pastor who does that with each new believer. You spread yourself so thin that it gets difficult to do everything, and try to cultivate in the church a sense of the people, the more mature Christians, taking on this challenge of meeting with the new believer like he's talking of. So don't think of it simply in terms of professional ministry.
A couple of additional things. There are a couple of books that have been published in the last 2 years that I don't remember their titles, but both of them are saying the same thing. How to read the Bible with others. Yeah. How to sit down with somebody else who, you might be a Christian for 15 years, and you sit down with somebody who's a brand new baby Christian and say, let's read the Bible together. It can be done at Starbucks. So for once a week, for an hour, over a latte, read the Bible together and go through Mark or Acts or whatever and talk about it. And what you're doing is teaching them how to read many people don't know how to read the Bible. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't know how to follow the flow of an argument. And so you take that seriously, do a little bit of homework first and a small commentary or something. Boy, that can be really an enriching experience. And so that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is that leaders in a church can often do things by exponential growth if they're careful to build slowly. So I have a friend, for example, in Australia, a pastor. All of his years of pastoral ministry, he would start let's say a weekend seminar for 7 guys doing something or other on Bible exposition or a certain doctrine or working through Romans, maybe 8 or 10 hours over a weekend with just 7 guys. That's it, And he'd prepare for it diligently. Just 7 guys in a church of hundreds. You think, boy, is that the best use of your time? But then he'd spot which one in that 7 was really quickest and was alert and asking the right questions. So then he'd take it, 3 months later, 6 months later, another weekend, and he'd have this guy with him saying, I want you to be my assistant this time. And maybe he would give him one of the sessions to do and train him and work him up, you see. Then 3 months later, he'd do it again, and this time he says, listen, I want you to lead it this time, and I'm going to be your assistant. And the next time, the guy runs it, chooses another assistant, and the pastor is doing something else, starting another course. And so suddenly, that's slow to begin with, but that's a way of after a few years, that thing multiplies exponentially, you see, by starting small, thinking big. Starting small with discipleship and training and so on, and then the mathematics works out that after a while, you got people multiplying all over the place.